was that, I know you mentioned like seeing some of them 2017 class guys, but then there's also just an element of seeing guys from classes prior to that, seeing NBA superstars, seeing commentators, seeing all of that when you're in Peace Jam. What did that do to your mind or to your vision for basketball?
It kind of just told me like just how serious it is. Like, you know, it's not what I've been. Yes, it's the love it for the game, but it's a lot more that comes and goes into it than I had previously known, and I even know in that moment. But I'm just starting to get awakened to it in terms of seeing all them college coaches on the baseline, seeing, like you said, NBA players, seeing these highly 5-star recruits that are supposed to be in the NBA in a year. I'm just slowly getting awakened to what exactly, besides the game itself, which within the black lines really is in terms of, you know, just the whole world of basketball. So that's what it was for me.
Understood, man. So now you mentioned that you transferred to McDuffie, you reclassified, so now you're going from the
2018 class to 2019 class.
2019. What was the adjustment like going to prep school? Because there's an off court, there's an on court, and there's a distance adjustment. So what was that like?
For me, being with Jock, you know, I look at Jock like an uncle, like a family member. He did a great job, you know, taking care of me those 3 years I was there. Teammates I had there were, you know, some of my best friends. In terms of traveling, I got homesick a little bit, but it became a point to where like I was with my best friends where like I really thoroughly enjoyed being at prep school because it was like I'm with my friends 24 hours out the day. Like it's nothing but laughs, it's nothing but good moments. The adjustment, you know, having to make decisions for myself, I would say was the biggest thing. Like not realizing the consequences of some of my actions in terms of just making stupid mistakes or getting in trouble doing something stupid. It took me probably that first month or two realizing like, all right, like I can't, I'm at prep school, but I can't like act like a kid anymore.
Yeah.
Like I have to grow up to some degree. Now, am I going to be an adult? Am I not going to get in trouble anymore? No, I probably still will get in trouble. But to some degree, I have to act like an adult and grow up and not just be a kid all the time and like think, you know, I could just do whatever.
You think prep school sped up your maturation process?
Definitely. It definitely sped it up. Because of just, you know, having to make those decisions, having to, you know, mature and having to think, you know, ahead and realize like I said, actions have consequences. And yeah, it might be funny in the moment, but like, you know, Jock, Coach Harris, Chris Harris, who was there as well, you know, their jobs are riding on us behaving. They brought us in, you know, telling the faculty and everyone like we're gonna behave, we're gonna add value to the school. So we can't be there, you know, taking away value by getting in trouble. And they giving us scholarship money that they could be given to a high academic kid that who knows what they'll be. So we can't just be, you know, taking things for granted.
Did you realize at the time that Jock was like 25 years old and that like he has some guys that are only 9, 8 years younger than him's future in his hands, and that the school is probably looking at him every single day like, hey, we really probably want to fire this guy because he's 25, black, and is the head coach?
So it's funny, just, you know, yesterday we was at Munch's wedding. Me and Sean was talking to him about that. And I'm 24 now. So just thinking about me being there with 15, 16, 17, 18-year-olds, being a parent, having to coach them, be a parent, make sure they don't get in trouble, make sure they're good on the court. At my age now, I definitely couldn't do that. I couldn't imagine. But at the same time, I realized because of now being 24, I could realize why we had such a tight connection with him, because it's like, yeah, he was older than us. He was an adult at the time, but he wasn't so far off from realizing what we trying to do, and he wasn't so far removed from being our age to the point where he could really resonate with what we were going through, like, you know, and just, you know, he was a father figure to us, but at the same time a brother to us, a big brother to us, and he did a great job of managing between the two and not making us feel inferior, and at the same time holding us accountable. Yeah, so
that's great stuff, man. Yeah. What did you feel were the major differences between the NEPSAC and the New York City Catholic League?
I mean, one, the talent level. in terms of, you're playing against nationally recruited guys, top guys in the country. Not that they don't have that in New York, but it was like every team had that. The coaching, it's real like style of basketball. Each team had a different style they played. The scouting of the teams, the schemes, like it was age difference, the maturity, guys reclass. So instead of playing against 17, 18-year-olds, you're playing against 19-year-olds, maybe even 20. Yeah. So you're playing against people 3, 4, 5 years older than you. The strength level it takes. And for me, I feel like, it took a lot of adjustment as well for me there in terms of, growing in that aspect in terms of, I always took my body serious. I always trained and, I started lifting weights when I was like 13, 14, but I was always getting taller. So I always had a skinny frame. So it took a while for me to fill into that frame, but it just showed me even more the importance of, I have to really stick with it because, I'm playing against people older than me who are stronger than me. And it's only so much you could do when you're playing against people older and stronger than you.
Absolutely. How did that season end up going for you up there? So now you're a reclassified sophomore.
Yeah, so I was a sophomore. Yeah.
Okay. How did that season go for you?
Again, it was like my previous 2 years. It was me, learning the ropes, coming in, being definitely one of the most talented players, one of the best players on the team, but not being good enough to impact winning at that level. So I was good enough to be a starter, good enough to be one of the best players on the team, but open gyms, being able to bring coaches in, but I wasn't good enough to compete against the best players on the other teams on a night in, night out basis to allow us to be, a playoff team, allow us to, be one of the best teams. So it was another experience where I was growing. I had a lot of good moments, had a lot of not so good moments, but again, Jock allowed me to grow through that year. He allowed me to make mistakes. He allowed me to, play through things. And because of that, I was able to really grow as a player and as a person.
Understood, man. What was AAU like following that season?
So that following season, I played with PSA against 16s. It was a good experience. Again, that was my first summer where I started getting high major offers.
Okay. Do you remember who was your first high major?
My first 3 high majors were Rutgers, Wake Forest, and Xavier.
Okay.
So the coaches at the time were Coach Manning, Coach Piker was there, and Chris Mack was at Xavier.
Okay.
That was the same summer where coaches were able to start texting me. So, as the summer was going on, my phone was getting blown up, talking and communicating with college coaches. I went to some camps. I went to Nike Elite 100. I went to Pango. So, again, it was another experience for me where, I had played against some national level talent, but now I'm at
about Nike Elite 100, pardon me.
Yeah.
What is that camp like? What is that camp like? I know they say it's supposed to be the best 100 underclassmen in the country. What is that week like when you're out there in St. Louis, Nike Elite 100, all the top underclassmen? Talk to us about that.
It's like you said, I'm seeing, people top 5, top 10 in my class. I'm being coached by former NBA players. I'm playing in a Nike sponsored camp where it's like the marquee camp to go to as an underclassman. And I'm just trying to soak in. I'm trying to do the best I can. To some degree, I feel like I was not out of my, pay grade, but I was like, I got a lot of catching up to do. Like, it's clear that these guys have been doing what I'm trying to do the past couple years. So for me, I always have to get my feet wet in order to really know, okay, I could do this and this is where I'm at. Like, these guys aren't that much better than me. Like, if anything, I'm just as good or better.
Mm-hmm.
But that first camp, those Pangos as well, but Nike Elite 100 I went to first, I was just not in awe, but it's just about learning, okay, I got to step it up. Like, these guys clearly is ahead of me and I'm trying to catch these guys.
Mm-hmm.
So just, be patient with yourself, which I didn't do a good job of when I was around that age. But just try and take in all you can and remember these faces and just so that next time you see them, you could measure yourself from how far you were the first time you played against them to how close you might be now.
No, okay. And how do you think the job that Nike does with that camp and the whatever it is that they provide for you guys from skills and drills, different media training or different sessions that you guys may have at the camp, how could you speak on what type of job Nike does for you guys?
They did a phenomenal job. Obviously, as a kid, the first thing you think of is the gear, which Nike always looks out and gives you the best gear, gives you the most amount of gear. So that was obviously great. It was well ran. It was at a college campus. It was at St. Louis.
Mm-hmm.
So, you're seeing a college campus. You're being ran by, they have a lot of people on staff, a lot of resources available to us where, we're able to know where to go. Everything's very scheduled, which is good. The coaching is top tier. Like I said, it's former NBA players, former coaches at high levels where we're able to learn from people that have done what we're trying to do and, getting taught things that we could take with us once we leave the camp. So.
Understood, man.